everybody, the name's Dave. Hello everybody, the name's Dave. Hello everyone, the name's Dave. Today, the name's Dave. I can't get the intro right. Anyway, as I was trying to say, the name's Dave. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I will be reviewing the main 4 Endo series figures, including Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. I'll also be taking a look at the FNAF 2 jump scare action figures. Every product I'm going to be reviewing in this video is by the company Jazwares, which recently got its FNAF license. And no, this video is not sponsored by Jazwares. Alright, let's get started by opening up the Freddy Endo series figure. Alright, so before I pull out the parts, you can see here that it comes with a Freddy shell and a withered Freddy shell to put onto the endoskeleton base. The endoskeleton itself is one piece. Each of the shells are split into multiple pieces and will only become a full figure once you put them onto the endoskeleton. Okay, so it came with some instructions, but they're way too confusing for me, so I'm gonna figure this out on my own with my big brain, okay? Watch this. Okay, why am I already confused? Hold on. I'm pretty sure both these feet can be used for either side, so I'm just gonna shove this in here. Oh my gosh, why is this so hard? Dude. Okay. I got one foot, guys. I got one foot. Get in the foot. Get in the foot! I'm going to be struggling with this for the next 30 minutes. I'm not gonna make you watch all that. Okay, I'm gonna cut to when I have the hands and feet on. Alright guys, I have the hands and feet on. The hands were way easier than the feet. Let's try and get the shell on. I don't know how this is gonna go. I'm gonna have to improv this hard. Freddy easily took the longest to assemble out of every figure in this video because the instructions were incredibly unclear and I literally had no idea what I was doing and I was worried I was gonna break the figure every like 2 seconds. I did end up figuring it out though, and once I did, it wasn't that complicated, and I was able to speed through the rest pretty quick. This endoskeleton has officially been transformed into Freddy Fazbear. It feels super high quality, and he's super posable. You can move his head, like, to look around. The jaw does open and close. You can bend the arms, the waist swivels, and goes up and down. I absolutely love this thing, and I'm really excited to try on the Withered Freddy shell. Alright, so the endo's been properly dismembered, so it's time to try out Withered Freddy. Withered Freddy wasn't assembled any differently from regular Freddy, but I was able to put him together a lot quicker because I actually understood what I was doing this time. Okay, so I managed to get the feet on the legs. I did remove the legs from the body to try and avoid as much damage as possible, because I did not want to accidentally break the figure trying to do it. And that actually made it easier, so I would recommend doing that if you get these figures. Alright everyone, Withered Freddy is fully assembled, so he looks pretty cool. And one thing that I would like to point out is that they used a unique mold for this figure. His face is different from regular Freddy's, as well as his torso. His has buttons and a sharper looking bow tie, whereas this one has a more rounded one. So I find it cool that even in the really small details, they went out of their way to make it different, instead of just withering the Freddy mold. Now let's take a look at the other 3 Endo figures. Next up, we're gonna take a look at Bonnie. Alright, as you can see here, this one also comes with a regular Bonnie and a withered Bonnie mold. So here's everything out of the box. The Endo is unique.
There's only one of me in all the world. I am one in a trillion.
In the sense that its eyes are pink instead of blue like Freddy's were. We're gonna start off with regular Bonnie. Alright, Bonnie is fully assembled. He also looks really cool. He has a movable jaw just like Freddy did, and is also totally posable just like Freddy. One small concern I had is that when I was assembling, When splitting the head in half, you also split the ears in half, and that makes them pretty thin. I was a little worried that I would accidentally break the ears, and I would have preferred it if they were just attached to one of the sides and slid over the other one. Let's try Withered Bonnie. Okay, so I have successfully assembled Withered Bonnie. I think this one is really cool, and I didn't really realize just how Withered Bonnie is until I assembled this. This arm actually has very limited movement because I had to replace it. It doesn't go up or down, only forward and backwards. I do really like this figure though, and it's sad to me that it's taken this long for us to get an actual Withered Bonnie action figure. Now let's move on to Chica. Okay, so it's actually been a couple days since I filmed what you were just watching, so that's why I have a different shirt on, but let's take a look at these other figures. So here's Chica and Withered Chica and the endoskeleton before I pulled them out. Okay, just like the other figures, the endoskeleton is unique to this pack. Its eyes are a dark purple. Let's start out by putting on the regular Chica shell. Here's Chica fully assembled. As you can see, she's a little bit fatter than the other ones, which I think is funny because her whole thing is that she likes to eat. One of the pieces just fell off. I will point out, these like lower leg pieces, they connect in a different way than the rest of the pieces, and I think it's less stable, and I guess I was right. So that's one complaint I have about the Chica figure. I think Jazwares is doing a really good job making some really cool figures for Five Nights at Freddy's. Now let's try on Withered Chica. Here is Withered Chica fully assembled. As you can see, her torso is a unique mold. Her feet are also a unique mold, having three toes instead of two. I really like this about the line, that they actually go through the effort to make different molds for the different shells and different animatronics, instead of just recoloring. There's something very cursed about Withered Chica with her mouth closed. I'm just gonna say that. So that's why I had it open from the get-go. Alright, let's move on to Foxy, the final Endo series figure. Alright, here's what comes inside of the package. We've got Withered Foxy and regular Foxy. As you can see, neither of them have legs on the shells because both of them have their calves exposed. Alright, this endoskeleton has brown eyes, which is not exactly what Foxy's eye color usually is. Usually it's yellow, but that could be just because, you know, they look yellow when they glow. Now let's get regular Foxy fully assembled. Alright, Foxy is fully assembled. I think he's one of the coolest looking ones so far. I love his huge jaw with all its sharp teeth. It looks so cool and so creepy. Just like the others, he's very posable. Maybe even more so because of how skinny his limbs are. I think Jazwares did a great job with this one. Now let's try on the Withered Foxy shell. Alright, I've got Withered Foxy fully assembled. He looks really cool. His mouth is huge and he's got his pointy teeth. I think this figure is really cool. Now before I move on to the jump scare action figures, I am going to be giving a quick summary of my thoughts on the Endo series. If you're a FNAF collector like me and you're wondering if you should get this, I say 100%. It is super cool, super fun to put together. If you're a parent wondering if you should get this for your kid who is a FNAF fan, it depends, in my opinion, on how old the kid is. There are a lot of small parts which can be easily choked on or lost. If you think your kid's organized enough to keep all the parts together, and old enough to know, obviously, not to swallow the parts, I'd say go for it. I think this is a great gift for a FNAF fan. Another thing to keep in mind if you're a parent, especially if the kid is somewhat young, is the feet were really hard to get onto the endoskeleton and they might need your help. Now let's move on and take a look at the FNAF 2 jump scare action figures by Jazwares. Alright, so here they are in the package. We have Toy Chica, Toy Bonnie, Toy Freddy, and Mangle. They all look really cool so far. It does look like they are strapped in, so I will have to get some scissors to open this up. Alright, so here they are outside of the package. They are all fully assembled out of the package, unlike Mangle, who appears to be in pieces. None of their limbs are removable. These figures are posable, but not by a lot. You can bend their arms, you can bend their legs, and that's mostly it. The main feature of these figures is that they have a jump scare action, which is activated by a button on the back of the figure. Here is Toy Freddy's jump scare. As you can see, his arms lift up and his mouth opens. Here is Toy Bonnie's jump scare action. He does a similar thing, reaching out his arms and opening his mouth. And here is Toy Chica's jump scare, also lifting her arms and opening her mouth as if she's screaming in your face, like in the games. You may be wondering why I haven't touched on Mangle yet, and that is because Mangle came in the package like this, in a bunch of different pieces. It was apparent to me very quickly that Mangle is different from these other figures. Mangle's parts do appear to be able to be disassembled and removed from the body, unlike these figures. Just because this figure is different from the others, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have a jump scare action, because it does. On the back of Mangle's head, you can see there's a button, and that opens and closes their mouth, like this. There's also a button on the back of Mangle's secondary head, which opens and closes its mouth. Now, I'm going to assemble this figure and show you what it looks like when it's all put together. Alright, here is Mangle fully assembled. I won't lie, this was really hard to put together, but it was worth it because this thing looks really cool. I do wish there were instructions on what goes where and how to assemble it because I was a little confused for a couple minutes. So now I will show you the jump scare functions with the figure fully assembled. Here is the secondary head, and here is the main head. I think these figures are really cool. I love the jump scare function. I do wish they were more posable outside of the jump scare function. Now I will give you my final summary on these guys. They're all super high quality, very detailed figures. I think these are great items for collectors and great items for anybody who actually would like to use these figures in play. I think these figures are just really cool and really fun in general, and I'd recommend them for any FNAF fan, really, except for very, very young FNAF fans. Mainly because of Mangle, because Mangle does have small parts and is extremely difficult to assemble. Alright, thank you for watching this video. I had a lot of fun filming it. I love these Jazwares figures, and I'm super excited to see what they make in the future. Tell me in the comments what you think I should review next, or what type of video you'd like to see from me in the future. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.